We live. Give a couple seconds to get some viewers on here. All right, we got a couple people that's jumping on. All right, so yeah, Fuel a Crutch podcast. We back at it. Let's talk about it. I'm gonna let this intro drop, and then I'm bringing in our guest, Reggie Patterson. Let's go. All right, man, we back at it. Episode 3. I got a special guest, Reggie Patterson. I'm gonna bring him on, and I just wanted to make sure that I touch base with somebody that was different, and it wasn't actually from Madison, but he is living here. So, without further ado, Coach Patterson, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing, my man?
Man, I'm good. So you already know how this go. We're gonna talk sports. We're gonna talk life, and just have a good time, and then drop some gems for people that's paying attention. I'm hoping people share this with their friends, family, save it for later, show their kids, because I know you got a unique story. For the simple fact that you're not from here, you probably be one of the first guests that's not even from Madison, but living here. So I think that's pretty dope. But I want to start off by doing some icebreakers. Let's jump into it.
Yes, sir.
All
yes,
right.
sir.
Better score, Tracy McGrady or Carmelo Anthony?
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah, we jumping into it.
I'm going Melo. I'm sorry. Melo putting the ball in the basket. I'm sorry. And a lot of people are gonna argue about that, but Melo just a different breed. I think if he would have worked harder at the game, like if you watch that Redeem Team thing, it's gonna show where Melo's mind was during that time. But I think he can put the ball in the basket with the best though.
Melo's one of the greatest scorers, period. But I'm partial to McGrady because that was my favorite player. So
I feel like I didn't get a chance to watch Tracy though, but I saw Melo.
Oh, T-Mac was a dog, a different animal. I mean, he ended up, like I said, he led the school. When he went to Orlando, he was a different beast.
Yeah,
Orlando
I saw him at the end of his career, but I saw Melo right away. He buckets.
And Melo scored in any kind of way. He bully you. He can shoot the three, get you off the dribble. But yeah, T-Mac do all that, but he'll also put you on a poster.
But see, headband Melo with the braids, untouchable.
Better power forward, Tim Duncan or Kevin Garnett?
Oh man, see that's another hard one because you got to think about both of them. One of them mean, the other one just quiet. But as a
personality playing to this one,
right? But for me, I've had this argument with my kids at school right now because one of the kids got Tim Duncan top 10 of all time. So I'm like, okay, I can see it. So for me, I'm gonna have to go Timmy though. Timmy, Mr. Fundamental himself. He gonna get the job done.
Spoken like a true coach.
Yeah.
Let me. Your preference for 6-man, Manu or Jamal Crawford?
I'm going Jamal. I think Manu Ginobili was good in the system he was in, but Jamal Crawford, them type of buckets night in and night out don't come easy. Jamal Crawford he just a different beast. Like I like Manu Ginobili, don't get me wrong, but the system he was in fit him really well. But Jamal, if you're just looking for somebody to come in and be consistent night in and night out, gonna run your one, gonna get off the ball, gonna get you a couple of buckets, I'm going with Jamal Crawford.
Better defender, Scottie Pippen or Draymond Green?
Scottie Pippen. Scottie used to take care of business for MJ. I didn't get to watch him either, but when you see something like the documentaries and stuff, it shows like what Scottie did for that team. Like, don't get me wrong, Draymond doing his thing now, but Scottie, I gotta go with Scottie on that one.
Nothing wrong with that. All right. So, like I said, Coach Patterson is not from here. So I just want you to go ahead and touch base on, where you're from, where you grew up, get a little background story.
Yeah, so I'm from Mississippi, a little small town called Baldwin. Um, I think during my time growing up, we spent majority of our time moving in between every city in that within about a 20 minute 20-minute drive. So I went to school at Baldwin, Mississippi. I went to school at Boonville. I went to school in Tupelo. Then I turned around, went to school in Plantersville. Then my mama moved me back to Baldwin where she felt like we had the most support. It's just her, 4 kids, not many people, helping us, move up and down, doing all that. At that time, it's just me. I'm packing boxes. That's why I hate moving now. I'm I'm putting everything in the boxes.
Traumatized.
Yeah, I'm tripping. Like, so, but when she made that last move, she looked at me and said, "This is the last time we're gonna move. Like, you got to get used to being here." And I had been going to school there for a long time. So when we got back there, all my friends were there. They was just like, "Where you been at?" I was like, "Around, like bouncing, bouncing, bouncing." And we didn't even have our own house when we moved. I lived with my auntie. We lived with our cousins at the time. So they got a trailer. It's my 3 siblings and my cousin, mom, and all their family too. And so it was a tough transition for me, but you know, we grew up in that little small town, and then it was smooth for us, and it was just one of those things where when we made that last switch, that was what's best for our family.
Man, what's funny though is like people don't understand like the effects of stuff that you went through as a child and how it still plays into your life now. Like you said, like I hate moving now because you did it so much when you was younger.
Yeah, I won't move again unless I have to.
Because you just moved into a new crib now, right?
Yeah, I did, man. Let me tell you, traumatizing. You got to get a trailer, do all that. Man, I was like, man, I can't do this no more. I ain't moving again.
So as a kid, like what was your dream job or like what did you think you was gonna be doing for a career when you was a kid?
For me, I give you a good, real true story. So I wanted to be a lawyer, and my high school basketball coach, smart man, brought me in the room, said, "What do you want to do for your career?" And I wrote lawyer on a piece of paper, and then I think I wrote 2 other jobs on there. One of them being a coach. I think it was at the last. It was the last one. In the middle one was some kind of like business degree or something like that. I wanted to be a lawyer, work in business, or be a basketball coach. And I handed it to him, and he looked at me and laughed. He said, "Lawyer, you want to go to school for 8 years?" I was like, "Nah, I'll take that back." And then he circled the one that he thought would be better for me. And usually as a kid, you don't want nobody to do, you don't want nobody to crush your dreams.
Right.
And so when he chose that one changed my life. It was like, okay, now I can like really zone in. I'm playing this sport. I want to learn this sport beyond playing. So when he circled it and I saw him do what he did for me in my life, it gave me an opportunity to do it because I had just blew my knee out that year too. So that was the time of my life where I had to like figure out what my goal gonna be.
Now it's funny that you said like he laughed at you. I just knew you was gonna say like you spelled lawyer wrong or something, but
Hey, I almost did though.
but
No,
not,
I
but
think he did that because it's like he knew who I was as a student, and I ended up going to school for 8 years anyways. So I went to got my master's degree and still went to school. So I was like, man, I should have just did that lawyer stuff.
and that's like a gift and a curse because like you said, he knew you then at that moment, and he was more one of those questions. He's like, "Yo, do you really want to go to school for 8 years?" And you probably hadn't done the research to realize how long he's gonna have to go to school. And when you say, "No, I don't want to go to school for that long," then you got to find something that more aligns. But that's one of the things I tell people all the time. You got to know what it is that you want or what you plan on pursuing, so that way you can do the research to kind of figure out what it is that you're gonna do and what it's gonna take to make that happen.
Yes, sir. I agree.
All right, so just in general, why don't you just share a little bit of just about your backstory in general, just like your upbringing. I know you said you got 3 other siblings. You the oldest, youngest, middle.
So my mom got 4 kids. Me being the third. No, my mom got 6. My bad. My mom got 6. I'm thinking about my dad. My mom got 6, and me being the third born, I got 2 older brothers. I got a two younger sisters and a younger brother. And then my dad got four kids. I'm the baby on his side. I just turned 30. So I got three other siblings that's older than me by 10 years. And you know, kind of like weird because I didn't hang out with my dad kids up until I turned like 15. My my mom, like my brothers and sisters on my mom's side, like we lived together in the trenches. I like to say that because like we was together all the time. If my mom needed somebody to carry groceries in the car, that was us carrying groceries in the car, carrying the groceries in the house. And for the time we grew up in Baldwin, like this small tiny apartment, man. I kid you not, there were some times where uh, we would just be there and we just was happy to have a place to sleep. My mom, she worked hard, always at work. And during her younger times, um, I got to see her grow because my mom was young when she had all of us. So it's kind of like I'm watching a young woman grow up while I'm trying to grow up. And in a sense, I'm the man in the house too. So I'm thinking, man, I got to take care of everything. So it was one of those transitions where like it was I had my brother that looked up to me. He got a hearing problem. I got my two little sisters that wouldn't stop following me around, like they wanted to be around me. And then here I am. We got our mom who is working night in and night out. She working in the local at the local grocery store in town. So it was. I wouldn't necessarily say it was like kind of tough because it's kind of like now that I look back on it, it was one of those things where I just felt like we were put in that situation for a reason. Because if we would have had the lifestyle that I always wanted, I don't know if I would even be here today. I'm just
Right.
kind of glad like she went through what she went through as a kid, and then she tried to do better for her own kids. And I think that's what changed how we all grew up and what made us a better family. Yeah, I mean, we chill. Man, I walked to school once I started like once I got to a level in Mississippi, it ain't that cold. Once I got into a level where I ain't got to ride the bus no more. Our school's a small town. It was like walking you know, from where I live at now to like the grocery, like the gas station, which is not too far. So it was like I can just walk to school. My brothers and sisters get on the bus. I used to have to get them ready for school. So it was just kind of like get them ready and then, I'm gonna take my time and get to school. Um, Everybody knew everybody. So if I did something in the town, they gonna call my grandma. She live around the corner. Everybody knew Grandma Judy, so they called her quick. So I'm making sure I ain't do nothing. My stepdad lived in the town, so they are every time I walk around, man, that's your daddy. We know your daddy, boy. Make sure you doing what you're supposed to do. And then my mom, she working in this local store. So when I'm playing ball and stuff, they going in the store. Man, that's your son. She like, yeah. You ain't see him play last night. She like, no, I gotta work. They like, oh, you gotta go see him play. And so it kind of changed like her perspective on me as a student in general. She's always say, go to school, do right by the people in your school. You're gonna be fine in my house. Like, and listen to her. That's all I had to do. And so like she gave me an opportunity to just grow up real fast. And I think I was thankful for that.
No, that's real. Well, before I go any further, I got to do a shout out to my sponsor, Crystal Johnson. She looked out for me again. She re-upped on me. I got her margarita mixers. She's got to change the name. I know that's coming soon, but if you're looking at somebody that wants to host a party, she's somebody that makes the drinks and Jello shots or whatever you need for the party. She'll take care of you. I got her email contact information at the bottom ticker. So shout out to Crystal, and if you're interested, please hit her up. And these are good. Like I had one last time too.
I might have to get one of those myself then.
Oh yeah, definitely. Crystal she'll take care of you for sure. And so yeah. So I know you talked about like your grandma Judy and everybody in the neighborhood knowing her. What were some other like people that were influential in your life?
Man, the number one person that was very, very influential was my mom, which I gotta say that just because it's just one of those things where you gotta really, really understand how a mom is. My mom was a beast when it came to just making me be a man. Like she wasn't never really like hands on. She was never really like, you know, you do this, you do that. She just was like, there's good things, there's things you can do, and there's things you can't do. You're gonna do them, and if you're doing behind my back and I find out, you're in trouble. So if you're gonna try to do them in front of me. So it was just like she had that big rule. After her, my high school coaches, one of them I still talk to this day. We communicate on a daily basis, and my basketball coaches and football coaches, they both are different. Like my high school basketball coaches, they would always push me. They knew that the game could get me into college, and football could have too. But my football coaches knew my lifestyle, so they dug a little deeper. Man, they used to let me come over to the house, mow the grass, do all this, keep me out of trouble on the weekends, and then Monday through Friday is like, bet I'm a I'm gonna live my lifestyle here, and then do that. Um, and then my older siblings, I got a sister on my dad's side. She was very life changing for me too. Like I look up to her too as well because um, she doing her thing. She married to a preacher. They got their own church. She got her own house. She take care of kids. She she doing what's best for her and her family. And then my two brothers too, like the older brothers on my dad's side, they good people too. They drop knowledge off from two different perspectives. One of them is like a real good basketball player, trying to tell me, hey, man, you can't do this. You ain't gonna go to no lead or nothing like that. Then the other one, just a hard worker, and we all like an extension of our parents. Our dad he worked really hard, and then it's just one of those things where it's just kind of like it's weird how we take certain qualities from him, and we didn't even grow up together. Um, but looking up to is like my mom, my coaches, and then my older siblings that I got, and then since I've been in Madison, I wouldn't lie to you. There's a few people here that I latched on to, like Rainey Briggs. He I was recruiting his daughter, and man, when I say I had that FaceTime call when Raina was young, I was trying to recruit her to come to Edgewood College. And man, they showed me what they cook for Thanksgiving. I was, man, I want to live with y'all. I'm from the South. And then after that, I reached out to him and I got to seeing what he was doing in the schools and all that. And then my last boss that I used to work for, Corey Sappho,
Mm-hmm.
now he was a big, like when I say very influential for me, I couldn't go a day without asking him a certain question like, Corey, what can I do to get here? Corey, what is this like? Corey, can you help me here? And then if there was times where he needed to close the door and tell me like, listen, this is what you should be doing, but you're not doing it this way. You need to do it. And I used to take that feedback and run with it because I'm seeing him and his light. Everybody always talk about, being black and you see other black people doing good. You want to be just like him. For me, it was just like, I saw him doing really, really good. And I thought to myself, like, he just got his master's degree. I need to go back. I had already had mine, but I need to go back and get my teaching degree. Like, I want to be in a school and I want to be somebody in a school that can be powerful like he is. So between him and Rainey, those two like really hit me hard and was like, man, I got to go back and do my thing.
Shout out to Reggie and Corey, both two good brothers, influential brothers. I know I have a personal relationship with both of them, but definitely a strong one with Rainey. Knowing Rainey since I was a kid, so definitely big ups to him on that. But you touch base on your father, and I know you're a father, so I just wanted to kind of touch base on you on your thoughts on just like parenting and fatherhood and like the story about you and your father and kind of how it shaped and molded you into the father that you are.
Yeah, so like when I was growing up, my stepdad had stepped in, took care of me and my mom. So it was us and my stepdad and my three siblings. And it was like my brothers and sisters like Taja, Alexis, and KJ. So he was very, very like strict, like you gonna do this, you gonna do that. And it was like for me, I needed that structure because you talking about parenting and then fatherhood. I'm watching my daughter do exactly the same stuff I used to do when he was trying to raise me. So it's kind of like, man, I see why he was doing this. I called my stepdad one day and I was like, man, I'm working in the school and these parents be like, man, they kids don't act like that at home. I said, I don't believe it. And he said, pause, because you did not act like you used to act at school like you do at home. You was anytime we say do something, you would do it at school. You go to school and start going wild. And I was like, okay, bet I can believe it. So yeah, he came in and he did his thing for our family. And then, like I said, when I met my dad, I was telling you this story before we got on. I was like I said, I was playing basketball at the park, heated game. My cousin cooking me, and we got that low goal where you play 21 tip, and if you dunk it, you know what I'm saying, you can put somebody out. And my mama screaming at me, Reggie, what? You don't supposed to say what to your parents. Like it's
Mm.
supposed to be ma'am, you know. And I said what, and she was like, "Come here." And I walked up, and she was like, "Your daddy here." And I was like, "Cat?" She was like, "No, your real daddy. Come on." I'm like, "Oh." I go up and he's standing there, and don't get me wrong, my mom and dad both short. They standing looking eye to eye. Here I am at that time, probably like 6'1", standing over both of them. And she like, "Yeah, this your dad." I look at him, he introduced himself, and then I said, "We done?" I'm trying to go win this game. I left and went back and played basketball. But then, like during that time, he came to a football game, saw me play football. Then I started getting a little bit. My name started coming up in the paper in the area for basketball, and then he started going, "Dad, let me not because of that, he just started going like, man, let me go and get my son and like introduce him to his family." So he picked me up every summer, take me to my auntie house, let me stay with them down in Tunica, Mississippi, and it was fun. I go down there, like I'm walking the street, be like, "Yeah, Clarence, my daddy." That's my dad name, Clarence. They're like, "Clarence, your dad?" They're like, "Yeah." That's like, "Oh, that's my uncle. We cousins." I'm like, "Oh, bet." I
One of them
turn the
small
corner.
towns where everybody related to everybody.
Everybody, I turn the corner. My cousin, but this Uncle Clarence's son. They were like, "Oh, really? We cousins then." So like, I started meeting so many people that was family members, and then they was like, "Man, why you don't come to high school here?" I'm like, "I'm straight. I'm living with my mama." Tunica is a nice little area, but like I was living in a little small town with my mama. But I met so many people, and then when you talk about going from how you grew up to being a father, it changed. Like my daughter came right away, and I was like, "Wow!" Like they like let me leave the hospital with this baby. I'm like, what's going on? I don't know what to do. It was scary. Like I was driving slow home. It had just snowed in Wisconsin, and my mom and them and all my family members are like, send me pictures, send me pictures. I want to see your baby. And for me, it was like trying to figure out, okay, I think we spend most of our time trying to grow up and make sure our kids don't not like want for anything because maybe we didn't get the chance to get a candy bar in a grocery store one time when we were younger. But like for her, I'm just trying to teach her how to be strong and like do good and do right and be a good person. And then my son came and he looked just like me. I thought my daughter looked like me. My son showed up and I was like, all right, bet. Now I'm talking about we going to the league. I got a little basketball for him and all that. But it's like every day I wake up, I know I got two people to look after of. And it's like, it's a blessing too, because, I never thought I would have kids. And then when both of them came, I was like, I see like what my mama was going through, what both my parents was going through during the time. So it's a blessing too to be a father.
And so, growing up in the South, of course, different than growing up here. So, like, when you made your college decision, which you can tell me about as well, but you being in the South, like, I know you didn't go to an HBCU, but did you consider one?
See, that's crazy that you say that because it was like, um, so for me when I was growing up in that little small town that I was in Baldwin, man, everybody at Mississippi State or Ole Miss fan, and so I went to a Mississippi State game and just got hungry, like real hungry. Like I got my jersey and all this stuff hung up right here. I got real hungry about it. I went to a game, man. They had Raven Johnson. This dude, Raven Johnson, was like 6'7", could score from anywhere. And I was like, man, I want to be just like Raven. And then my high school coach took me to a football game, and there was this dude, Chad Bumpus. He was from Tupelo, Mississippi. Now he out there coaching at Utah. He coaching for like the team that's ranked. And Chad was the receiver from Mississippi State. And I used to want to be like Chad Bumpus too. So I'm like, man, I want to go to Mississippi State. Then they brought in this corner named Jonathan Banks. And I'm like, man, I want to be like Jonathan Banks. So it's like they took me to these environments and I wanted to be like them. So then on one side, you got maroon and white. And then on the other side, you got blue and white, Ole Miss. And I was like, I ain't going to no Ole Miss. There's a lot of Ole Miss fans in my town. I was like, man, I'm going maroon and white. But then, as the time goes on, there's a college in like, I swear within like 30, 45 minutes from me called Russ College. It's an HBCU school down
Yep.
in Mississippi. Russ, they started recruiting me for basketball. I didn't know much about them. I just knew that they were HBCU. And I think at the time they was D3. Or they might
Yeah, because the
think that.
thing is, like, there's a point in time where like the HBCUs weren't all of them weren't scholarship. I've done some research. All of no, I don't think any of them are D3 anymore. They're all NAIA or D2 NCAA or whatever. So like they're all scholarship worthy for sports now, like even Fisk, because Fisk was in my conference in college.
Yep.
No longer.
See, Fisk cool. So like I had heard about those schools at the time. My friends actually went to Fisk up in Tennessee.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, I'm going, I like Russ. I go to Russ, and the coach calling me. Is this Reggie Patterson? Yes, sir. We having good conversations. And at the time, he like telling me about like the level. For me, it's like I need a scholarship. I need to go to school for free. And in Mississippi, what's the difference is our JUCOs take over. We got Division I JUCO. So you talking about a junior college scholarship for 2 years gonna pay for everything, meal, dorm room, school, and then if you do good there, then you can transfer into a 4 year and you could be good. So, but on the one hand, my high school basketball team, we playing for state almost every year, and then in football, we went to state in '08 and won it. But we played at Jackson State University for football. That's where they have our state championship game. So we down in JSU, and I'm like, man, this is nice. And then Mississippi State play Jackson State, so I go to that game. They play Alcorn State, I go to that game, and so I watch the band. The band's going crazy.
Man's going crazy.
I'm gonna tell you this: they at Mississippi State, and I ain't never seen a fan base at halftime be more happier for a HBCU band than they is for their own band. It was fun, and so I was like, I did that, but like it never really just crossed my mind to go. And then when I meet my dad's side of the family, man, my aunties and them graduated at Mississippi Valley State, Alcorn State. All my cousins and them went to HBCU, which is right down the street from them. You know, all my family members went to HBCU. Like my auntie just recently went back and got her degree. One of my cousins had went to Mississippi State her first semester and then transferred back to Mississippi Valley State. She was like, "No, I want to go here." And for me, like at that time, I just think the area I grew up in during that time growing up, it was like, all right, I want to be a bulldog. So that's why I did it.
Yeah, and it is different in the South too, because especially if you're in an area where they don't have any pro teams, like because I went to school in Alabama, and down there you was either going to be Auburn or Alabama, and it wasn't you couldn't decide. You was going to pick one or the other, and almost the whole state be shut down when the Iron Bowl come on.
Yep. And that's how it was. Everybody wanted to play in the Egg Bowl. So that's why I wanted to be a Bulldog. It's like, man, if I get a chance to play in the Egg Bowl or basketball, you get to play Ole Miss twice a year. This would be good for my career. I was thinking I want to be a part of that history.
So I know we'll get into like your career in a few, but I wanted to go ahead and talk just about your story of education, because I know you went the junior college route. How were your grades when you were in high school?
So in high school, man, what's crazy in high school, man, I graduated with 54 kids, right?
Wow.
Only 54. And 1 through 21, I was ranked 21 in my class. I saw the paper and I'm ranked 21. Wait a minute, me? But I'm thinking, I think I'm like only 3.5. Man, everybody above me was like 3.8, 3.9. Then anybody in the top 5 was 4.0. My little group of kids that like the class I grew up with, man, everybody was just smart. Like, so you didn't have no choice but to just get in line. Teachers come around with a test and you will be like, they'll say, they'll hand them to you. See, this is back in the day, they hand them to you in front of the class. Not no, come here, it's a secret what you made. Like they'll hand it. And our little class was so competitive, man. One kid would be like, yeah, I got a 95. And you look down at yours, and you see all them red marks, you ain't close to no 95. So it's like, you be like, you look down, you like, dang, I made a 55. And then you turn it over quick. Everybody like, what you made? Oh, I made a 95. You just shrug it off. And then, you know what I'm saying? Then they like, ain't no way you did. Why you turn it over so quick? Let me see. Nah, hand it right back to the teacher quick, So my little class was just very, 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 very smart during that time. And one of the things that I enjoyed about it was I was friends with a couple kids that was I felt like I just couldn't get it. It was like some math classes, English classes I just struggled in, and they would help me. But see, my college decision to go to Northeast Community College for JUCO for 2 years all came because of my knee. But that was a blessing because my friend, her mom was the English teacher there at the college. So she did my whole schedule for me. She like, I'm gonna put you in this class, this class, this class, this class. These are the teachers you're going to take. you're not going to take this class because you need to take everything that's going to get you to where when you graduate and go to another school, it all transfers over. Man, I left junior college with like a 3.7. I had I had like 71 or 75 credits. You only need like close to 45 or 50, just 2 years. You only need like 50 something credits or 60 or something. I
60.
left with like, I think I left with like 10 or 15 over. And so with that being said, I was like, man, yeah, this is good. So then I go to Mississippi State, and this is where the bell started ringing. I go there, my first class, it was me and about 85 others in this like auditorium. And I'm sitting at the top. I'm looking down, the lights off, the professor walking across, and then we got his class, and then we got his like small class, like he got a TA. So we'll go to that. It's gonna be about 12 people in that room. Well, we go to the auditorium room, then the TA class is on a Thursday. So I was like, all right, man, I can do this. Man, I swear I kid you not, like 2 months had went by. I spent more time watching Netflix. I, playing video games. I was the basketball manager for Mississippi State, and I was like, you know what? I don't know. Then I got this report that came out, and it was like, um, you almost on academic probation. So I'm scratching my head. I'm like, wait a minute. I look, man, I got 3 F's, a D, and a C. The one class I got a C in, it's like a physical education class. And so I was like, okay. So I called my mom. I said, Mom, I'm finna come home. She was like, no, you're not. I said, yes, I said, yes, I am. I said, I can't do this. I remember walking down to school over by Barnes and Noble. We had a Barnes and Noble on campus behind the football field. I was crying, bro. Like, I was like, man, I can't believe I done came here and I can't finish school. Well, then I called my best friend, mama, and I was talking to her, and I was like, Miss Allison. She was like, yeah. I said, I can't do it. My grades ain't looking good. I don't know if I can make it. And she goes, you need me to come down there with my belt? I said, no, ma'am. She said, so what I'm hearing is you finna get those F's to D's and then everything else up. So I said, yes, ma'am. So I start going to my teachers, asking questions. And then semester had ended. Bam, I had 3 D's, kept that 3 D's and 2 C's. So I was like, whew. So I'm breathing. Well, the next semester, I didn't go below a 3.5. Well, then when I applied for graduation, I had just made the basketball team, so I'm on the team, and then they looking for a graduate assistant. So I'm like, man, this is perfect for me. So I graduate, do all that, apply for grad school. Well, I couldn't get in because that one semester I had made my core GPA. You need a 2.5, you need a 2.6 to get in. My core GPA was a 2.5. So I'm like, well, they can't pull no strings for me to be the GA. So then I go, okay, I'm gonna go back to school and I'm gonna do what's best for me and figure it out. So I went back to school and hold on, baby. I went back to school and I did one semester. I finished it with a 4.0. Yeah, I know. Thank you. I finished one semester and I had a 4.0, and I only took like 3 classes and it was all online and it was a lot of writing. So then I was like, okay, um, couldn't get back into the GA job, and then I started looking for jobs. I wanted to be a grad assistant somewhere. And so I put in for a school in South Dakota, Texas, and then here in Wisconsin. Well, I got a cousin that lives in South Dakota, so I'm like, maybe I'll go there. Texas, I was happy to go there. And then the coach from Edgewood College on the women's side, her name Kaya Huff, she hit me up and she was like, hey, are you interested in the interview? And I was like, yes, ma'am. And she was like, okay, we headed to the Final Four. And I was like, oh, bet. It was the women's Final Four. So I was like, say hello to Morgan Williams, Victoria Vivian, all them for me. And she was like, you know them? I was like, yeah, I played, so she saw that I played ball there. And she was like, oh, okay. So that's when Mississippi State girl had hit the buzzer beater against UConn to put UConn out that year. And so after that, I came up here, did my interview, and then they was telling me about grad school. And I was looking for a school that wasn't going to let me slip. And Edgewood College was one of those. They was like, yeah, it's small. You're going to be able to meet with your advisor every day. So that's what I needed, to meet with my advisor and say, okay, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to work on? And so that's how I landed up here, because of Edgewood College being able to get my master's. But I had that one semester where I almost just threw it all away. But I had two people, my mom and my friend mom. They was like, "Nah, you ain't doing that."
So I'm taking three takeaways. One was the advocacy that you had to go to the teachers, talk to them, and work to figure out how you was gonna make things work. Two, the community that you created for yourself was one that had your back. And then three, just like you figured out what it was that you wanted and you pursued it. And
Mhm.
I think those things are huge. Like, just speak on like how important self advocacy is just in general.
Man, I tell you, I tell the kids all the time, man. In my class, I teach three freshman classes and two sophomore classes, and like I got athletes, I got kids that do all type of stuff, and I tell them if we got an assignment due on Friday and you need an extension on it, the best thing you can do is tell them if I come at you on Monday with and you know it's due Friday, and you know you got all this stuff going on Monday, I said email me, talk to me, I'll help you. But if we get to Thursday and you need an extension on Friday, I'm like that's kind of tough. You set dates and deadlines, so it's like that time management. I'm like, I've been in y'all shoes before, so I can help you. But I always tell them the best you can do for yourself as a student is advocate for yourself. Not argue with the teacher, not think you know more than the teacher, but tell the teacher straight up, like, hey, I'm seeing this. Can I get some help in this? And that's what helped me get through because I was like, listen, I struggle at this. Like, I can't be in this classroom, but I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna take notes. Is there any other thing I can do? And so one of the professors was like, yeah, yeah. I'll send you an email, let you know you can go to this spot and this spot, and they're gonna be able to help you with Western civilization. I was like, all right, bet. So, instead of being in a large room, I got to go get some help. So just being able to step up and talk for yourself is what teachers really want. I think anybody want that. Coaches, your parents, any job you work in, and you feel like you need an opportunity, you just got to stand up for yourself and ask.
Man, that's huge. I mean, and then so now you just jumped into like what you do. So you're working as a teacher. I know before you were doing security in Verona. Talk to me about making that decision career wise.
But I started in Madison School District. I was doing BEA in Madison.
Okay.
And so I was working at the valet parking at the Merida Hospital. And I was making $10 an hour and I'm booming with 10. I just moved here from Mississippi. I just need to pay my bills. I'm in school. I'm straight. Well, then I get a call from my friend. She's like, you want to come be a BEA? Caitlin Carey, Vince's wife.
Okay.
So she like, you want to come be a BA? I'm like, sure. And so I was like, what's the pay? She like 15, 25. I said, 15? I'm going for 10 to 5. So I go and I interview, and Caitlin told him right away, I got class with him. You're gonna really like him. He do a really good job building relationships. And I think they didn't believe it. So I went in that interview and I was just like, just giving them my spiel, where I'm from, telling my background, what I believe in. Then they asked me to walk around the school and I started mixing with the kids. And it was at Leopold Elementary. So I was like, "Bam, I'm doing good." So then they called me back and hired me. So I do 2 years there. But during the 2 years there, I keep hearing, we need you. We need you in our schools. Like, we need you. Like, and I'm like, okay, what does that mean though? Like, you need me or do you want me or can you help me stay here? And during that time, I was like, I I got a kid on the way. I need a little bit of extra money. I don't have my license, but I can find support roles. Well, during that summer, I applied at Middleton for like what they call them jobs, student family engagement coordinator.
Hmm.
Middleton had one open, and then two other Madison schools had them open too. So I was like, bet you don't need no license for these. Well, one school in Madison had already hired who they wanted. So the guy told me, he was like, man, I wish I would have met you a couple months ago. I would have gave you an interview. The other Madison school kind of told me, um, we went in a different direction. We went with somebody in the district that had more experience in the area. So I was like, okay. Then I get a call, and then in Middleton, they hired somebody in the district too, which I was like, okay, that makes more sense. The guy was already in the previous role that like correlated with what he got hired in. So I was like, all right, bet. But the Middleton was like, the Percy Brown, he was like, man, hey, if we get something else, I'm gonna hit you up. I was like, bet. Get a call from Corey Sappho. He like, you interested in being security? I'm like, yes, sir. So I answered three calls on questions on a 15 minute phone call. Then they brought me in, man. I was sweating bullets. I remember this. I walked around, I sat down, I sat at the table, the interview panel. Man, this interview panel was crazy. It was like, man, some of the strongest people that Verona had in their building, man. I'm like, okay, I don't know what's gonna go down here. And then I like sat down and I started thinking to myself, I was like, man, just relax and be yourself. So they asking me all these questions. I'm going ham on questions in my mind. Corey Sappho looking with a straight face, kind of like, I don't believe him. I don't believe him. I'm like, he ain't smiling. He ain't laugh at one joke. He ain't do nothing. So then I leave out and I'm like, man, I don't even know if the big dog like me. But then he called me 2 days later and offered me. So I was like, man. So I tell him the same story. I'm like, man, I didn't think you like me at all. He was like, no, I just couldn't show you that you know what I'm saying, you winning everybody over. Like, I ain't finna give you that grace. And so I was like, all right, I appreciate that. So then I get hired at Verona, and Corey was like telling me about the education system. He's like, man, you got a master's in ed leadership. I was like, yes, sir. He's like, you need to be a teacher. So I was like, I apply, but I ain't got license. And he was like, what? See what it takes. So then I started looking into schools and figuring out what it took, to go back. And I had just applied to go back. I thought I was ready. And it was during COVID. COVID had just happened. I went to Edgewood College.
Mm-hmm.
So I knocked out those classes, not knowing what was going to happen, went back. And then I'm coming up on the last semester. And I mean, I'm like jumping up and down. Like, I made it. I'm telling Corey, like, bro, I got my teaching license. I'm almost there. And so then Corey's like, hey, maybe something will open up here in the school, man. And then that's going to be big, because Corey knew I love basketball. He was like, as the head coach, you want to be in a high school, you want to do this. And I was like, yes, sir. And so I had like applied for a job in Verona before I even ended up getting my teaching license. But they was like restorative justice or school interventionist, all jobs that I didn't have no experience in other than doing security.
Mm-hmm.
So, time after time, you keep hearing the same thing, like, hey, we love you, but you need some more experience. And I'm thinking, all right, I appreciate that. Like, I'm gonna try to figure it out. So Corey created a team lead job. So I'm boom, boom, boom. I'm getting this experience I need in certain areas. So I'm thinking, man, I'm good. So when that next time had came, I had thought to myself, I said, what's next for you? Like, I asked myself, like, what's next for me? Do you want to take jobs and run with them, or do you want to find your career? You went back to school to teach. And I applied at Edgewood High School, not thinking I was gonna get a job. I applied at Middleton too, just thinking like, we'll see what happens. Man, I went into Edgewood interview, and I remember sitting there, and sometimes you get a feeling like, man, they don't believe you. I remember sitting there, and then those people like started leaning back, and they was looking at me kind of like, ain't no way you applying over here right now. I could see it in their face. And like all the questions came back to, but why? But why? And I'm like, because I just want to be an educator. I want to be here for our kids. Like, this is what I went to school for. And so then, yeah, Edgewood called me and offered me. And then it was just like, for me, it was just like letting Verona know, like, hey, I'm about to make this switch. I really care about, Verona. I love all the kids there. I built these relationships for 3 years. But now I'll get a chance to go teach and then focus in on my own classroom. Got my degrees. I can put them in my classroom, right? Got a Kevin Durant poster in my classroom. My kids put the LED lights around my classroom. They hung other lights up in my classroom. Like, my kids decorated my classroom to make it feel like it's their community. I asked them, what do y'all need for me to make this room feel like it's y'all's? They go buy this, bam, put it in the classroom. And that was my biggest thing. That's what I was hoping for. Like, the education piece is important. Like, our kids need that, but they need somebody that they can look at and be like, oh, I bet he's working hard. I want to be like that. And so that's why I went and did it. I was like, I can teach you about U.S. history. We just got through learning about the progressive era. I can teach you the progressive era, but what I can teach you is like how to meet those deadlines, how to advocate for yourself, how to feel powerful in this classroom. So all my kids, they go home, they like, wow, Dad.
So you teach it's beyond just education. You're teaching life lessons. You're teaching them how to become humans and adults and just living and using that knowledge that you're learning into something that's going to be more beneficial outside once you get out of school.
Yep, and all that transpired because like COVID happened, and like our babies, they needed that help. Like, I was seeing what was happening, and I was like, I'm just I'm being honest. I was lazy. I'm just a semester away from having a teaching license. What am I waiting for? So I was just like, go do it now. And so that's why I went back and did it. And then that's why I took the job at Edgewood.
But and think about how dope this is though. Like you are a black man in a teaching role in Madison. And I say that because I grew up here, born and raised, K through 12. I had one black teacher. And so even you go into Edgewood to become a black teacher there, those kids get to see it now too. They get a different kind of experience versus what they probably typically been used to.
Yeah, I had taught a lesson when I first got hired. We had a we was talking about the new Colossus, which is on the Statue of Liberty, and it was talking about in a piece of the new Colossus talk about a golden opportunity. And so I took that lesson and reverted it back to my life, and I said, "This is a golden opportunity for me. In front of y'all, I'm letting y'all know this. I stand before you to let you know. Like I went to Edgewood College. I said." And now I get a chance to come back to Edgewood High School, which I know the college and the high school ain't the same. I was like, but this is the best opportunity for me. This is my golden opportunity. I was like, during those times, people had the people got their chance to get their golden opportunity. I was like, right now, this is mine to be able to stand before you today and teach you. And the kids kind of nodding their head. They're like, okay, I like that.
So yeah, and again, that all the kids need that experience and give a different perspective other than what they might see on TV or in music or movies or whatever the case is. And you're being someone that can do that. And so I think that's invaluable and it's something that they'll take with them probably for the rest of their lives.
That's what I'm hoping for. Yep.
So I know also with that transition and change, you transitioned and became the basketball coach there. I know it had to be difficult to leave Verona with a program that you were starting to build, and you could start to see some of the athletes that you were having starting to latch on to what you had created, and then just having to not necessarily having to, but making a decision that was best for you at the time to coach at Edgewood.
Yeah, leaving Verona was hard because like you said, I was doing security. So man, I knew so many kids. Like we had basketball camp this summer. We capped it. I think we capped it at I think it was like 80 spots per grade level. Man, we had third K through third was like 90 plus. Uh what's that? Fourth through six was like fourth through fifth, or fourth through six was like 90 plus, and then six, seven, and eight was like 80 something plus. So like, and you had a parent come up to me saying, like, my son that wear the baseball hat, he don't even like basketball, but you make him feel like he can be here. So I was like, bet, like we want everybody to feel a part of something. But then it was kind of hard for me because I had just got hired to teach, and then the basketball job at Edge was open too, but they ain't had an AD yet. And so I just kept telling myself, like, here's the thing. I love teaching and I love being a coach in the same building. I said to myself, if the time comes, will I apply for the job? In back of my mind, I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to. And then, but what I said to myself, if I do it, I got to go all out. Can't waste no time. I got to be 100% in. And, Corey Sappho always told me something that stuck with me. At the end of the day, when you're doing something for your career, yeah, you're going to miss the kids, but the kids going to get up and still go to that same school Monday through Friday. They ain't going to just change and come to your school because you left. That's not how life works. The parents ain't going to be like, well, we love Coach Patterson, so we just going to take all 300 kids and just let's go to Edgewood, But he was like always telling me that, yeah, you made an impact here, but you can go make a bigger impact somewhere else too if the opportunity happens. So, when I had did my interview, I felt like I had made the impact right then and there when I had did my interview. I had already been a social study teacher there. And then when I got a chance to see some of the boys and then get in front of the interview panel, I was like, I've already made my impact. I feel good about myself. I like this. They gave me the power to really go for that interview and go for that job, thinking I had a chance. I met a few people in the summer thinking like, man, I don't even know. I don't think I got a chance. And everybody's like, oh man, you'll be fine. I'm thinking like, nah, I don't know much about Edgewood High School at the time. I knew I was a teacher, but I was like, I got to do this and go all in. And so that's what happened. It was just more so like being able to teach and coach in the same spot was like a ideal, great situation for me.
Well, seeing that you left the Big Eight at a time that you did, and after been there for a couple years, I just got to spice this up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Give me 5 players from the Big Eight that are must see this year.
Oh man. Well, the man, listen. So the 2 years I was in the Big Eight, I was like, wow, like these boys can go. Like, being from up here, just getting a chance to see it, Jalen Johnson used to be in the Big Eight. Wow, you know. Uh this year, Armand Lewis, cold. Boy
Yeah.
had some handles, man. I'm watching him. He just taking control of any ball game. Quentin Lomax got to be one of the best. Like, just the dude can play. Like I tell people all the time, man, you got Marlon Lewis, Quentin Lomax on the same team. That's just unreal. And then you got over there at Sunbury West, you got Chestnut. Darius, the
Yeah.
boy, the boy can go. I love watching Darius play. And then Memorial got Braylon Blue, who's going to be this year. I seen him play a lot this summer. I was like, he's going to transpire his game a whole lot more. And then, and then I got to go. I ain't got to do it, but I got to say it just because I think the kid can play with the best of them. I coached Drew Murphy last year, second team all conference, 14 points a game. Kid can play.
And that was as a freshman, right?
Yeah, it was as a freshman. So this going into sophomore year. You talking, and must see players based off what they did last year. Those 5 for me would be players that I would want to see. But you talking like top 5 players in the Big Eight. That's a different story. There's a lot of players in the Big Eight that are really, really good.
Well, not hit me with the top 5 then.
That's a tough one, man.
Let's spice it up even more.
That's a tough one. I ain't there no more. So I got to see them play this year, though. That's the thing. Like, I'm gonna be keeping up and try check them out because
y'all will play on different nights.
Yeah, we play on different nights, man. I'll tell you who I thought was a beast, though. The little dude from East, man. I thought he was the best thing ever.
Clavon?
Yeah, I thought he was the best thing walking last year.
So that conversation is kind of what sparked all of this.
Hmm.
Somebody. Matter of fact, it was Vince. Vince Carey said something about Minute being, the best freshman that he's seen since. I don't know if he might have said since Jerron, or no, he said since Tony Monroe.
Tony Monroe.
Okay. And I was like, ooh, that's a hot take. And when he said it, I had to go on and be like, you know what? I kind of agree.
Yeah.
And Vander Blue didn't agree because he said he was. And I understood where Vander was coming from. But, my spin on it was like Vander didn't play varsity as a freshman. Not because he didn't have the talent, but he just wasn't on varsity as a freshman to go against the best of the best in the Big Eight. And so that's where I was like, well, I got to go with Clavon because, that's 6'4", 6'5" lefty that could do it all. Like he gets to the lane with ease like Ding Ding, but then he'll punch on you.
Yeah, he do it like so different. It's just like he be freelancing out there. It's like 1 minute he gonna glass you with 2 hands, then the next minute he gonna get in the paint, get fouled, make the layup. Then the next minute he might try to go 2 hands baseline. And then I'm like,
and then the next play he can drop off a dime because you done collapsed on him.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why, as far as this freshman class, that's why I wasn't afraid to say, you got Armand Lewis, Quentin Lomax, Chestnut, and then Braylon Blue. Like, I would say you want to see those guys play. And that's why I wasn't afraid to say my own freshman that I had. Like, come on, this freshman class had him in it, Cleveland, Chris Davidson, who can pull. Man, that boy got a dog in him. You know what I'm saying?
He'll be out of Seven Prairie West this year.
Yep. So those kids right there, this freshman class that came in this year, man, everybody was wondering, like, okay, how good they gonna be? Who's there? Little I know, I got one in my program. He hitting threes all night long, getting to the cup. He's growing every year, So like, Kirk gonna have him a good player this year as a sophomore, And so that was.
So what you got over there at Edgewood? Is there some must see games that somebody need to come check you out? As your first year out there, it would be nice for the community to support you as well.
Our schedule is on the Badger Conference. It's on our website. We only got 7 home games, and then the rest of our games on the road this year. So we're gonna be road dogs all year. For me, I got some really good players in the program. Man. I would say this: I got some kids that just like They just want to go play ball. That's what they love to do. They just want to hoop. They don't want to. They ask me every day. We got open gyms tomorrow. We got this going on. We got this going on. I'm like, yeah, it's coming up. It's coming up, man. They just excited. They smiling. Like I got Dane brother on my team, best golfer in the state.
Oh yeah,
How?
he
Like,
when I did talk to Ding, then he was talking about how his brother don't really hoop, but he's a freak athlete.
man, listen, the boy come in the gym and he windmilling with ease. Then he looking at me like, coach, I'm playing point guard this year. I'm like, how? You might though, you know what I'm saying? Because he got that edge over. But I'm watching him play, and I'm like, man, this kid could be, man, if he took basketball serious, he would have been a beat. But the thing about it, the boy get the golf clubs out the cart, and it's a whole nother level for him. He take the ball, he put chipping, hitting, driving, all that. Like that's his love. Like, and it makes sense. Like he just good at it. And then basketball, he just like pick it up. And then he just went out for football this year. And he
Oh
already
wow.
started. Yeah.
And it's crazy because Ding Ding definitely said the last time when I had him on here, he said his little brother is like different. He's like, but nobody knows.
No, nobody knows. I'm telling you, I can't wait to coach him. There's a lot of kids in the program I can't wait to coach. But just thinking about Dane Dane, knowing I knew Dane Dane when I first moved up here, from his time of playing in college, I was like, man, this dude, brother, I saw him. He was at the campus school at Edgewood. He out there cooking. I'm like, who is this little kid? And then now I see him, and they talk about golf. And he beasting at golf. So yeah, he a good kid though. I mean, I got a lot of good kids. I mean, I see these Twitter posts about some of my players right now, and I just like, for me, going into my first year, the only thing I can say is like I can't just name off 5, 7, 8 kids that I can't wait to coach or how good they are. I can just say I can't wait to be around the whole team in general. And being able to speak on Dane Dane, brother Alex, because man, I knew Dane Dane way before I even, when I first moved here, we at the Princeton Club on the east side. And I think I'm a decent ball player. He tell me to get out the way. He went and got 15 by himself to win the ball game. And we going to 15. And he got the whole 15. And then Nimrod come in a day later and he go get 15. So I'm like, dang, I'm standing beside 2 players that can put the ball in the basket with ease.
With ease.
Yep.
So, as we wrapping this thing up, like I just want to know what's some advice or something that you would tell your younger self or just any younger person, about just as they prepare for life or as they trying to get their life together or whatever it is. Like, what's just some advice that you would give to somebody younger than you?
For my younger self, and I don't even know if I can tell my younger self to do anything different than what I did. I was always happy. I tried to fit in. I found the best, good friends. I didn't treat nobody different than they treated me. I joked around a lot with my boys, and we clown. We call ourselves. I got class clown 3 years in a row at my high school. So I did try to, be a little funny. But the best advice I can give anybody younger than me right now, or anybody that's just trying to be successful, is it's just you find something you love and you go for it. And you might not get it right away. Like I found the love of basketball right away and then blew my knee out. And then I had to go find it in another avenue. Well, in order to continue that, I had to continue my education to get there. There's certain routes you got to go in where you might have to continue your education. Heck, you look at my buddy Vince over there, my boy, he'll tell you, man, he got a whole trucking company and he's still building up on that. And
Doing well for himself.
and he proud to tell you that he's like, man, school wasn't for me. I'm gonna do my thing. So like I take his story and then I look at mine. I'm like, man, we the same people with like just different routes. Like he out here booming with his trucking company, and I'm super proud of him. And then like for me, I just like went to school. So he'll tell you this every time he see me coach a game or in a classroom. He probably like louder than anybody about me. He'll tell people that's my boy. Like he coaching with the best of them in the Big 8, or he coaching with the best of them in the area. Like his famous line is, not many people in the area gonna outcoach me because he know I study the game, But then at the same time, I'm like bragging on him because I'm like, man, this dude got his thing. He got his business booming. He's doing his thing. I'm like, for me, I had to go a different route. He went a different route. Rainey went a different route. Percy went a different. Corey Sappho went a different route. You went a different route. We all got different routes, but it all comes back to a couple of things: is that we all found our love, dedication, and hard work, and then we put our heart into it, and then we found people around us to help support us. So, and then being able to advocate for yourself too as well is something that I would, tell younger kids too. Just go do it.
Man, that iron sharpens iron. So putting yourself around other people that have the same kind of drive and passion, they don't have to be the same end goal, but if they still motivated, committed, and dedicated to what they want to pursue, them the type of people you want around you, not others that's trying to drag you into doing some stupid, silly stuff.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times when I went back to school to get my teaching license, how many times Vince or he asked me how's school going, just random times throughout the year. Hey, you done with school yet? And then when I finally got my license, he was like, man, my boy, happy for you. And then like I used to live beside him, so I used to see what he was doing with his trunk company. He ain't at home Monday through Friday because he out there just on the road. Call me, we talking, bam, get off the phone, talk to him again. I just see what he was doing. And like for me, it was like I didn't necessarily think I was like, oh, I'm trying to outdo my brother. I was like, I'm trying to be on that same level. Like if I'm in the room one day and we all talking, I'm a truck driver. Oh yeah, I'm a high school basketball coach, teacher. I'm doing my thing. And then all of a sudden we got a buddy over here that owns his own business and he does financing and all that. And then we got another buddy that own a car company, and I think that's the thing that we just forget sometimes is that we can do whatever we want to.
Man, we
Powerful,
put our mind to it.
powerful, and when you say powerful minds, we got the most powerful minds around. It's just can we find people that want the same thing? And then if they don't want it, it's about understanding, okay, they don't want it. It's not my fault. And I'm not gonna push them to want what I want. I got a friend, I always tell him this. He graduated 4.0 out of high school. I didn't. He's the smartest thing I ever met. He didn't want school though. He didn't care. He was like, I know what I want to do. And that was his lifestyle. He did what he did. And then I was like, bet I'm gonna do what I want to do. And so, but we still boys. And that's just like having a good community of friends and then having a good community around you when it's time for you to go do your job.
Man, that's one thing that I think never gets old and never goes away is having that community. You had it when you were young.
Mm-hmm.
You got it again now as you're an adult and working in your career field. And also guarantee you Vince to your kids is an uncle.
Yep.
Whether he's your actual brother or not, that family community feel is still there, that just carries over time. And so those are things that are powerful and things that we need to make sure that the kids understand.
Yep. And you're looking at people and you say, man, I want to be just like, you might see somebody who got 3 cars, big house, they're a brother too. And you might look at them, you're like, man, I want to be just like that. Or you might be hating. You might say, man, he only got that because of this and this. It's 2 ways you can go about it. And when I was growing up, I just felt like people I was around, my cousins, my brothers, my mom, them, they was like, listen, you gonna 1, respect everybody. 2, you're gonna work hard. So that way, at the end of your career, you can always say, I did those 2 things and nobody took that away from me. And so that's how I go about everything now.
Man, I definitely appreciate your time coming on, sharing information, letting people know your story, your background. I'm definitely going to come out to a game and check you out, watch you in action and coaching a new group. So I really, truly appreciate you. And I appreciate everybody that tuned in and listened. Thank you guys. And, until next time,
Appreciate you.